one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty, salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community. We find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts, those salty confessionals that we love. We put them in our mine cart and we bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined today by my singular co-host, Mike. Say hey, Mike.
Hello.
Yep, Tony's not here because we're shit at scheduling, and I think his work made him fly to St. Louis at like very last minute. So
yep, we've done it again, folks. We've lost Tony. He's fallen off of the cart. We cannot find him.
And there is someone else in the cart, but before that, we got to shout out our $69 patrons. That's right, we expanded our Patreon, and now we have shout outs that we do at the start of the episode. So we got to shout out our 4 patrons at our nice tier: Accidental TPK, Prime Speaker Florian, Yafe Judge, and Hephaestus Bolts. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. It's what it's all about.
Thanks for helping us make this happen.
Smooches. And without further ado, there's another person in the minecart today, and it's not Tony. We actually have a special guest with us today. My close friend. My close buddy and fellow. We live we're almost neighbors, man. Like pretty much.
Yep.
It's Alan from Mental Misplay. What's up, Alan?
What's up, guys? It's good to be here. This is not the first or second podcast we've done. We've done them live in the car. So this is a much different setting. This is much different than the traditional car cast that we've done before. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, we were talking about this before you jumped on, Alan, and we were like, it's very fitting that Tony isn't here because you have hung out with me and Mike a bunch and you've never, ever met Tony.
Nope.
Like sometimes we'll all get together at a local gaming store and Mike will drive down from Boston and Alan and I will drive up from Rhode Island and we all hang. And this is all when Tony was in Michigan already. So he was never around. Then we went to Philly together and had our big, awesome road trip coming back. And of course, Tony wasn't there for that. So sorry, Tony.
Sometimes I see pictures of the three of you and I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? there's a third one.
Who is that guy?
No love lost to Tony, though. You guys put on a good show for sure.
We do have this streak of Tony just not being there for things. Like it just happened again with Commander Sealed.
Well, it is because we're going to East Coast stuff somewhat. And he's, not.
Dude, Michigan is in the Eastern Standard Time Zone.
Fair enough.
That's my argument.
Fair enough.
No elaboration needed.
So here's the question. I mean, I don't know if this is forward-facing information. Y'all are going to be at Summit.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Are all three of you going to be at Summit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tony's going to be there. So you get to
I will get to meet Tony. Yes.
Yeah, you finally get to meet Tony.
Even Nick, our mythical 4th pod member, will also be there. Yeah. It's a rare occurrence.
It's very rare. It's very rare, mostly because Mike and I don't allow them to come to conventions. We're very. That's our Sam and Mike special time. And
we don't let Tony come because we know he'll get us canceled.
Oh, nice. So. Okay. And you had me on. You guys invited me out here.
Well, only in an edited format.
Yeah, it's a highly edited show.
Right. So if it's live and in person, it's real dangerous.
Exactly. That's the challenging shit. Yeah, well, if folks don't know, Alan has a fantastic YouTube series. He's got an awesome Twitch channel, and it's a lot of I think you started with cEDH Ramp Gang down in New York City, and it's kind of grown and blossomed into just a really fun EDH hangout spot, both casual play, budget play, and cEDH play.
There's a whole long origin story. It takes way too long to tell, but basically before the pandemic was playing like Kitchen Table Commander and did the arms race with my buddies and ended up playing cEDH. And the Ramp Gang is what we ended up calling ourselves because there was a fella who had a playmat that said ramp or die on it. And that became a philosophy of how we should be playing. And from there, it evolved into us going to events and playing in like first they were the GPs, the Grand Prix, and then they were Magic Fests. And we would go to those and we would play the cEDH events. And it evolved from there. I started an Instagram account just with like Ramp Gang stuff on it and got brought into a chat. And that chat group brought me into another chat group of much more ribald participants, people who were a little less scrupulous about their jokes.
Is that the group that I'm in right now?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like wild memes and little videos all day, man. It's nonstop.
For a long time, it was mostly Magic focused, but from that group, before the pandemic, we would hang out and this is before Spell Table, we would play over Skype.
Ooh,
and we
wow.
would have Skype games like pretty regularly. And then through the pandemic, we would just be on Skype literally nightly. And it was like Viking of Honor, Modanon, Commander Guru, this fellow Will, his name is I'm such a piece of shit for not remembering the
How
fucking
could you, dude? Really?
Nilbog. He went by Nilbog, which is goblin backwards.
Wow.
I like it.
So
like
Nilbog, and he's out of England or somewhere around there. And we would play every night. And one day, in the pandemic, we were like, let's go fucking live. And I did a stream and it's just taken off from there. And the channel has evolved from like specifically like cEDH to I kind of go back and forth. I try to walk with a try to walk with a foot in both worlds of cEDH and casual.
Yeah, we do the same.
Yeah.
And then not last year's Vegas, not the Magic 30 Magic Con, but the Vegas event they did the year before that. I didn't go because it was still in the middle of the fucking bad times. And I had this idea one night. I was in the shower and I was like, all the thoughts are going through the brain. And I had that one of those light bulb moments where I was like, oh, I'm going to show up with a selfie stick and a microphone and start doing live coverage of events and run around like Billy on the street, like an absolute animal. And I started doing that and it got noticed. So I'm doing that a little bit more now too. So it's thank you for recognizing it. And
hell yeah, dude.
For those of you who don't know, Alan Mental Misplay. And that's you can catch me at events running around with a bright shirt and a selfie stick, or you can catch me on my channel playing or other people's channels as well. I've gotten more and more people telling me they noticed they're like, oh yeah, I saw you on YouTube or whatever. I'm like, oh shit.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny, man. I've definitely told you this story before, but I don't think I've mentioned it on the pod. But like before I even got into like following Magic content creators in like a serious way, and obviously well before I became one myself, I followed like 4 people on Instagram that were Magic accounts, and one was you. One was actually Prime Speaker Florian, who's our $69 patron.
Shout out.
And then
Flo is also in that chat. Flo is banging that chat.
Yeah, yep. I know. And then it was Moderately Anonymous MTG, and then Teferi's First Barber, who's also a homie and a good buddy of the show. So just super funny. And then I remember it was like I started the Howling Salt Mine. We were like in our infancy, and you had something where you went to a local gaming store near both of us, because like we said, we live very close together. I'd messaged you and I was like, oh shit, are you at this gaming store? And you were like, yeah. Are you local? And I was like, yeah. We were like, we should play Magic together sometime. And then it was just like one thing led to another, and a couple road trips thrown in there, and there you go, man.
Here we are.
Hell yeah.
And then we formed our super group, the Dookie Boys.
The Dookie Boys.
And the born of that road trip, the Dookie Boys.
Yep. Yeah, the Dookie Boys.
Not doing it justice. It's at the intonation is Dookie Boys.
Yeah,
you got to really lean into it.
I forget. I truly do not remember the origin of that. I think it was when you and I drove down to film with Lua and Tori for Scry Babies, which that episode hasn't come out yet, but people can wait with bated breath because it's very good. There's just a lot of poop-centric jokes that weekend, frankly.
Yep.
Honestly, just a lot of poop-centric jokes in my entire life.
Yep.
And speaking of poop-centric jokes, let's move on to our interview portion of the show.
Oh no, I don't know what's going to happen right now.
You actually already gave us a little bit of info, just talking earlier about what mental misplay is all about.
Okay.
But I hope you're ready for this. This is pretty grueling.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
The interview from hell here.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I say this every time, and it bears repeating. If you answer incorrectly, we will cut the audio, and the episode's over. So, well, Mike and I will still record, but you'll just have to sit there muted for the next hour.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet, but
all right. Nobody's
one of these days
missed any questions.
No one's missed any.
Wow.
It's true. Perfect record across the board so far.
Yeah,
right,
pretty much a perfect record. So our first question is, how did you get into Magic?
I started playing when I was like 10, maybe.
Really?
Do you
remember the first set?
Revised.
Oh man.
Revised Easy Claps. Yeah. I remember buying packs of Revised because I was into like all the Marvel cards and that sort of shit.
Oh yeah.
So I have like all your Marvels. I think I really got into it like Marvel Series 3 was the one that I had gotten a box of. And then the X-Men, the Fleer Ultra X-Men 94 and 95. And 94 is right when Revised was out. So I bought a lot of Revised and not like a shitload, but enough. And I had a mono black deck and I would play it on the blacktop and
hell yeah.
Played Magic. And so I had this like, random pile of cards, as you call it. And I played that for years and years. And then in high school, I met people who like actually played Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my buddies in high school would like do Junior Super Series. And so
what is that?
Junior Super Series was like Pro Tour for teenagers way back in the day.
Oh, cool.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, Junior Super Series. So there's JSS promos you can get, special JSS foil promos. But yeah, he would do Junior Super Series and he would tell me about stories about going out to the Magic, like, the big events and trying to play and shit like that. Cool. And then we would start going to, this would have been in Urza's block. We would go to Neutral Ground, which is a famous store that was in Manhattan. And it was Brian David Marshall and a bunch of other really now like super OG players. They had this store in Manhattan and we would go to the pre-releases there and we would play on Tuesdays. We would play Type 2, which is now what you would call standard, basically.
Man.
And I had a bunch of decks I would play in high school. And then I took a big long break and then the rest of the story happened.
Yeah. So you refound it again, like around the pandemic times, basically?
No. So I refound it. There's a convention that I go to in Boston called Aresia. It is a science fiction and fantasy convention. It started out as like a literature convention.
I know that.
It's very family oriented. And my brother-in-law would go years and years and years. And he was like, you have to go. So I went. And at this time I was playing like Talisman and getting into Pathfinder, which is like a D&D 3.5 equivalent.
Pathfinder's great.
We know Pathfinder.
Yeah, I'm in a campaign.
Dude.
Nice.
Yeah, Mike just got TPK'd.
Yeah, I did. I got wiped.
Me and my friends did like 2 chapters of Rune Lords, I think.
Oh, hell yeah. Quest for the Rune Lords is good.
It's super cool. So I would do like Pathfinder one-shots and I would bring my 60 card. I had a sneak attack deck that I loved that was made up of cards from like an Urza's block sneak attack deck. 60 cards and left over from Urza's block. So it had like a play set of Academy Rectors, Sneak Attacks, Grim Monoliths.
Oh, man, dude.
A bunch of shit. And I would show up with that and people were like, what is this fucking pile? Because over the course of 10 years, if I did happen to go into a store, I would look for the craziest creature that you could put in a sneak attack deck, right? So it had amazing. It had like a Blightsteel and a Gristlebrand in it, as well as the holdovers from when it was the Urza's block sneak attack, which was Crater Hellion, Thorn Elemental, and Weatherseed Treefolk.
Oh, hell yeah. Thorn Elemental, baby.
Amazing.
And Bloodshot Cyclops.
Thorn Elemental has like a special place in the heart of so many Howling Saltmine guests at this point.
I think you're like the third person to mention it. It's so funny.
It's amazing.
It's a classic.
It is.
The damage just
undoubtedly
goes through. And then if you've got the Bloodshot Cyclops, that's another 7 right to the fucking dome. So I would show up and there was a group of kids there who were playing Magic, but they were playing with these piles of larger cards. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And they were like, it's this cool new thing called Elder Dragon Highlander. You need to put 40 more cards in your deck, dickhead, and come back next year. And they were nicer than that, but they were like, what are you doing? Like, and then the next year I came back, still no deck. And they were like, you're fucking up right now. And so the third year I went back, this would have been 2015. And I had gotten a set of the 2015 Commander decks and given them to my high school play group and started playing with them again. and mine was a Marin deck. And by the time I got back, I had a Marin deck that was, Marin was oppressive in 2016.
Oh,
That deck
yeah.
was a fucking nightmare. So
Some would say it's still pretty
Still got the option.
nightmarish.
Yeah.
it's got a lot of stigma. I've played around with it a lot. I have a cEDH version that is falling to the wayside because there's better stuff to play.
Mm-hmm.
I have the precon. I have a foiled out precon version of Marin.
Yep. It's fucking sick.
So
Nice.
over 2015 to 2022, I'd taken this deck apart and turned it into the cEDH version, but I had all the old cards laying around, and Rebel had foiled out a Kalia precon. And I was like, well, I'm going to reconstruct Marin, and literally backwards, like reconstructed it out of like going through all the cards I have in my fucking basement, finding all the pieces, and then ordering foils of them,
It's
basically.
amazing.
And then I recently went in with Commander Mechanic, and we did an updated version of Marin. So what would be a $45 budget and operates on the same axis as a contemporary precon would. So the contemporary precons fuck face compared to a precon in 2015.
Yeah, they roll people. Like they're so good.
Yeah.
So we built like an updated version of it.
Love it.
So, but I've fucked around with that deck a lot, and it's not what it used to be, for sure not, but it's a spicy one for sure.
Yeah, I played against that newer precon version that you had. I think last time we chilled, played against it, and it was like someone just got a Plague Crafter, I think it was. Is it Plague Crafter that I'm thinking of? That like
Probably.
ETBs and everyone sacks something?
Yeah,
And
Playcraft
was
does
just
that.
like constantly bringing it back, and I was like, oh yeah, this is how Marin plays.
Yep, that's why
I
this deck
forgot.
sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this deck is like a pain in the ass, man.
So yeah, the play group got those decks, and then the next, like within 2 years, I was going back to Arisia and rolling people, just
Hell yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then all the content shit happened. So
Sick, dude. That's awesome.
that's the origin story.
I love too how you were talking about like the arms race that
Oh,
leads from casual into cEDH, because
it's so
we had
real.
the exact same experience where we were all like, okay, this is cool. Let me see where I can take this. And then you bump it up a little bit, and then everyone has to follow suit. And then you just keep doing that until you're at these things that are just ridiculous what you're trying to play.
Yeah.
The arms race is so real.
I remember there being a point where in our pod, the four of us all had a deck that had some blue in it. Two of us were on mono blue and the other two were on Izzet decks. And we all just ran like 12 counter spells. And we were like, we're kind of playing a different game now. Like, let's see what this cEDH thing is all about. And then from there, it's just been an obsession.
I go back and forth with comp. If I play the same deck for too long, I'm like, I'll get bored of it. But
Yeah.
you get a new deck every once in a while, and it rekindles everything. So that happened with Atali
that.
recently, and I put together Obnix, the adversary. I don't know.
Oh,
which one
yeah,
it is.
The
the
Rakdos one?
The Rakdos one. It's really dope.
Yeah, that one's great.
Rakdos Obnix, who gets the 1/1 counters and does like fake impulse
Yeah.
drawing, impulsive draw.
Yeah.
So really, really enjoyed. I played one game with it, and it was insane. So
Yeah, that deck is really cool. I played against that a little bit, and like you're getting exiles off of a fetch. Like
it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And he gets bigger too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps
Yeah.
growing.
It's just a big beefy beater if you need it.
He was like a 10/10 before I like even knew what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Without trying
Yeah.
at all.
Stuff like that I find is getting better and better positioned in the cEDH meta because people just can't deal with the 10/10. They're like, oh shit. I guess I'll block it with my like
Ragavan or
Llanowar
fucking
elf.
whatever.
Yeah, my Ragavan.
Yeah.
Well, it's a weird balance because like creature heavy decks are worse right now because of
Yeah.
Bowmasters and a
Mhm.
few other things. So like
Yep.
stuff with low to the ground creatures is like falling back a little bit.
Right.
But things like stupid Tivit and Rakdos and Natali,
The chonkers are in.
yep.
Yeah.
Bring back the Timmy.
big boy fall, big boy winter. I'm
it
here
is
for
big
it.
boy winter, dude.
I'm ready. Yeah. Yeah. It's bulking season.
Yeah, it's fucking bulking season, dude.
Yeah.
It's bulking season. Bring out your fatties.
Big boy winter. People were worried about combo winter or whatever it is. Nah, it's
Yeah,
big
control
boy.
winter. No
Can-
way.
nah,
That's
big boy winter.
propaganda, dude. That's fake propaganda. There's like 3 people saying that shit.
Well, now we got 3 people saying Big Boy went there. So
Exactly.
We'll
Just
get
as
a fourth.
powerful.
I can guarantee we can get a fourth saying it too, and then we're
Yeah.
good to go.
Our prospectors will latch on and they'll dispense it into other CEDH discords.
and I think also, I mean, which do you want to say more? Do you want to say Control went there, or do you want to say
Boring.
Big Boy went there?
Big boy,
Big boy.
Yeah.
Sunday. You want Big Boy? Everybody wants Big Boy went there.
We just have to pay Tim to make a really awesome shirt, a gold saber tooth, to make like
Yeah.
a really banging shirt that says
That'll
Big
win.
Boy
Whatever
Winter,
gets the shirt
and then
has
that's
won.
it. Then
Yeah.
it's over, man.
Well, because Mardu Summer. So yeah, we need Big Boy Winter, and it can
Yeah,
have
put like Dargo on there and
Atali
like,
and
And
like,
Tivit.
Tivit
Yeah,
and
we're
another,
there. Close
another
enough.
Big Boy, and we're good money.
Traxa
love it.
can be in the back.
Oh yeah, he's a big boy, big girl. So the other question that we like to ask people, Alan, is what makes you salty?
Oh God, like in a Magic game, yeah.
Yeah, in a Magic the Gathering
So
sense.
if you have like life salt you're trying to bring in,
Oh.
we're not going to judge.
I
Salt
definitely
comes
got. I got
from
that
all
coming out of my
experiences.
ears.
But do you know what that tastes like?
If anybody who doesn't is lying.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd say like right off the bat, I'm trying to think of. There's a lot of different stuff that I get salty about, but also like a huge part of playing forward facing games is not getting salty, is rolling with
Yeah.
it, is rolling with all the punches. And this
like
is
being
like
on stream and shit.
Yeah.
You can't be like, you can't get like too tilted. It's like not good entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. So I've really learned to like be tilted, but be tilted in like a way that's going to be entertaining, you know, in either like, no, oh, what do you do? Like really play it up or like gaslight the shit out of people, but have it be funny, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't believe Sam is saying getting tilted can't be funny because that's the entire premise of our content.
On camera, when it's on camera.
Sure. There's something about that visual component. That's what you
if
mean.
I get like sullen and sulky and I'm quiet on camera, no one's having a good time. No one's like, hey, I'm glad we invited that Howling Salt Mine guy who's fucking sad and quiet over there. Like that's not a cool vibe.
I'd say right away attrition effects.
Oh, hell yeah,
just sack a creature. If I have to worry about my creature definitely dying like every turn.
Wait, you play Marin?
Yeah, you play Marin, you piece of shit.
Yes, yeah, and I had enough games where I inflicted that on other people. And like, you know, that was the go-to strategy for a long time. But like if I'm, and again, this is forward-facing games, but a lot of times like I run very commander-centric decks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if I play my commander and then it dies and then I got to worry about like, okay, I got to like make extra creatures or my shit's just going to die over and over again. Like that'll get me tight for sure.
Yeah.
I think power imbalance can be a little frustrating sometimes, like not acknowledging the tone of the game or the like power level of a game, you know, and when somebody's just like shitting out a bunch of fast mana when you're not playing a game where people are supposed to be shitting out fast mana, like that'll get me salty. And then in a cEDH game, it's a little tougher, but I've definitely been like tight about things. And a lot of times it's when other players are more aggressive in their politicking. So if somebody is being more of a bully than politicking, that really gets me pretty riled up.
Yeah, I completely feel that, man. What if someone is like, sometimes you get this like tone where people are almost like belittling you because you're not going along with their like
vision.
Yeah, this vision for the game that they want, where they're like, you should really remove this, and you're like, yeah, but this is affecting me more, and they're like, oh wow, you're kind of like stupid and you're throwing the whole game, and you're like, that just makes me, I'm like, well, now I definitely don't want to do what you were
now
saying.
I'm confident that it benefits you more than it benefits me.
or like it's technically wrong to make this play, that sort of stuff.
Oh,
like you're making it suboptimal play.
Unless someone is like fully no hand. You have no ability to be confident that it's the optimal play.
I think those two are pretty good examples. I can think of, there's a lot of like kind of vague concepts about playing the game that get me salty.
Oh, hell yeah.
No, I remember being on stream once and being so ready to have the most bomb turn, and it just got wheeled, and I was just fucking like, ugh, after that. And like, I looked back at it and was like, man, like I was a fucking diaper baby. Like, what was I doing? Like,
It happens, man. Sometimes you're the salty one.
I was just so excited to make this play and just got like, nah, just turned into fucking dog dick, you know? So yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that make me salty, but that's I'd say attrition effects will bum me out pretty hard. And
yeah,
I think there's been a couple other instances where I like jumped in a game and just it sucked. I played against this fucking Azorius deck that was just like the fun police deck, and that was a real bummer. Like the game the dude was just fucking up the game.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that playing against Azorius control is fun. It's like unanimously hated. Like everybody hates that shit, man. It's like that meme, like all my homies hate Azorius control, you know?
Yeah. full double one finger.
Yeah, double burst to that shit.
I remember my boy used to play Grand Arbiter, and I was just like, I fucking screamed at him one day. This is years ago. This is in 2016 or whatever. I was like, you're stopping other people from playing. The point is to play. Like I had a full.
But he's helping himself play. That's what he's playing it for, of course.
I remember, this is my boy Amar. He locked me out with a fucking capsize with buyback, and just every turn was just like, fuck yourself, bounce all your shit. And I was like, nah. I fully yelled at him. I was like, dude, stop. The whole point is to play. You're stopping me from playing. It's not what you should do in Commander.
Oh, man. I've been there so many times, Alan. It's like why we started the whole show, because I'm a salty bastard.
And I'm not going to say my play style. Like, I play in a way that's so good, and I'm so, I look out for everybody's feelings and interests. Like, not even close, but like, but it's taken like years of playing live to realize, like, you want to curate a game that doesn't suck, right? You want to create a game where everybody's going, yeah. So like, I had a guest on the show a long time ago. He had just won a tournament, and he came out. I played Marin, and I made this kid eat shit all game, just fully, everything he was doing. I was just like, just absolutely hosing him, and realized after the game, like, that dude didn't have a good time. He's not going to want to come back. He came out and sat on his fucking ass, sat with his whole deck up his ass for fucking 3 hours,
Different kind of fun.
Yeah.
And
it's a different experience.
And it really, I had a friend tell me, they were like, look, like, that sucked for that person.
Yeah.
Like, that's maybe not a good look.
Yeah, that's so good, man. But Mookdubs had a similar story when he came on. He was like, I jumped on this person's stream. It was like their first time streaming. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna help this dude out. Like we're good buddies. It'll be a fun stream experience. And the dude just played this awful Azorius control deck like the entire fucking time. And it was like a 3-hour game. And he was like, this sucks. Like,
not what I want.
Like, you can't expect me to, one, have a good time, and two, be entertaining for that long,
Yeah.
That's the other thing with, like you say, forward-facing content, like streams and videos and stuff like that. Like, if you get your shit pushed in so hard, like, you're not going to have a good time and be an entertaining guest. Like, there's going to be a dip in energy when that shit happens.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a dip in energy anyway. The first hour is going to be gas, and then the next 2 hours, like,
you're sleepy boys.
You better hit that second wind and learn to fucking keep that party going.
Oh, hell yeah. So
in any case, there's a very specific type of game and deck that is not fun. That people are like, it's not fun to play against. It might be fun for you to play, but also like having the mental, like, capacity to look at that game and say, oh, I'm creating a game that if I was maybe this person playing this Azorius control deck is going to watch this game and be like, yeah, they're getting them. Yeah. Look,
another counter spell. Hell yeah,
pacifism on his creature. I love that card. Like, like, but I think that to not have the empathy to see these other 3 players be like, okay, so my creature can't attack or block.
Just turn inward. Yeah. Just no hope.
Yep.
Oh, man. So good. Well,
in preparation for Summit, I've been thinking of a list of questions that will translate to vertical content really well.
Oh, hell yeah.
So people will do like the ones at like Comic-Con, and it's the guy who's like, what anime has the smelliest fans?
Yeah. I love those.
And they'll be like, oh, My Hero Academy, all the way, My Hero Academy. And it'll be like 6 people in a row all saying My Hero Academy. So I've been thinking of that sort of question for Summit, and I'm going to be putting people on blast.
Well,
so I'm really
track
excited.
me down, dude.
I'm gonna be like, oh, what color pairing has the worst players to play against? And it's gonna be like Azorius.
Azorius. Fucking
Everybody fucking knows
Azorius 100%. Dude. Azorius 100%.
Yeah, it's hard to give another color pair.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is, right?
I don't know if there are any others that are that unpleasant.
I feel like Grixis maybe gives it a run for its money.
Yep. Or
Yeah.
Demir is like
Grixis
can be
and Demir.
shitty.
Yeah.
that's true.
But Azorius.
But Azorius is pretty fucking.
Azorius
fucking
is such a
stinky.
specific flavor of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of that awful experience.
Because nobody's like, oh, Selesnya, fuck those guys.
Yeah,
Those guys
with
are-
their tokens and their +1/+1
Yeah,
counters.
they're doing their best.
Yeah, they're just trying. They're just trying to keep up,
they
man.
just want to hang. They just want to all hang out. Like, it's fine.
Well, should we get into it and talk about some salty stories, guys?
Let's do it.
I have no clue what these stories are going to be. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get like the flop sweats or if I'm going to be laughing. Like, I don't
Dude.
know what's going to happen. So I'm
Well,
really excited about this.
We'll get into it. Yes, we're going to be talking about some salty stories. We're going to be
But-
getting into it.
But
Huh?
Sam, what is salt?
Oh, Mike, thank you for asking me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Salt is frustration in the game, as we like to call it. And really, salt is an umbrella term. You know, a lot of people think salt is somebody scooping, somebody getting really angry, somebody yelling out, getting frustrated, whipping cards across the room, drop kicking their deck boxes. But really, those are the full shakers of salt. And there are these smaller grains of salt, the little frustrations, the little things that get you pissed off. Hey, you just removed my commander 3 times in a row. That's kind of annoying. I got to like recast it every single time. Your deck's a little bit too strong. You played a couple pieces of fast mana, and now you're questioning why you're the arch enemy. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. This person doesn't really know what the hell's going on. So,
Yeah, you're playing Azorius.
yeah, you're playing any Azorius deck.
Full stop.
Excellent callback.
So all of those things are salt. And we talk about the full range of salt, from the small grains to the full shakers, so that we can really educate ourselves and hope to not be salty in a future game. Well, should we get into it, guys? I got some lovely salty stories here, ready to rip them.
Yeah, hit us with one.
All right. Our first salty story comes to us from our buddy Phil, and this is a submission through our website, howlingsaltmine.com or thehowlingsaltmine.com. We're inconsistent with the use of the on all of our social media, so our website might as well be the same way. This one doesn't have a title. That's just how it is sometimes. And it goes, hey guys, thanks for making the funniest podcast around. I managed to binge all the episodes in a month or so.
Whoa.
Damn. Thanks, Phil.
Serious.
You got to get started on that second listen through. Preferably on a different device so it counts as unique downloads.
Yeah, if you haven't tried any different streaming platforms too, just try one of those out.
Is that like 2 a day? More?
in
Yeah,
a
it would be
month?
like
yeah,
2 a day.
Yeah, that's 2 a day. That's actually not, now that we lay it out like that, that's not crazy. I've been
Yeah,
still
because
a
there's
lot.
24 hours in a day and an
It's
episode's
still-
only like an hour and a half. So we're not
Yeah.
consuming enough percentage of your life quite yet,
Yeah,
honestly.
That could be like
Those are
commute
rookie
in, commute
numbers.
home. Yeah,
Yep.
I got to push those numbers up. And the rest of the story goes, my salty story happened before COVID. My friends always played at Joe's house since he had kids first, and that made it so he could play without leaving his house. What good guys. Unfortunately, as the host, he always insisted on playing 5 to 6 player games, which I loathe.
Whoa.
Oof. And that's the host.
I'm right there with you, Phil. Those games fucking suck ass.
Always is a bit. I like one every once in a while. I love a good 5-player game, but I gotta be like ready for it. Like
Yeah.
every time.
Every
Nah.
time is a lot.
I can cope, but not what I'm looking for.
5 and 6 player, which is like
6 is like play 2 pods of 3, you know?
if you're doing 6, you gotta at least play some wacky like fucking
Yeah.
Emperor
Yeah.
or some stupid
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, or like sheriff or deputy, whatever those people call it, you know. And it continues. So one night we were playing a 6-player game in his living room. The rounds are getting long as everyone's board develops. This motherfucker turns on his Xbox mid-game and gets into a Call of Duty lobby.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
And starts playing Call of Duty while waiting for his turn. We all call him out, but can't really do anything since we are at his house. It gets to his turn, and he has to go around and ask a million questions about board states. and then proceeds to attack our friend Arnold, who is a bunch of tokens that he didn't realize were tokens because he was playing Call of Duty. He tries to undo his attack and attack someone else. Arnold says no, and I say no. That's his attack, and he can't change it. He throws a fit and keeps arguing that if Arnold had explained his board better, he wouldn't have made that attack.
Oh my God.
He ends up scooping to play Call of Duty for the rest of the game. We have only played one more time in his house since this incident, partly because of COVID and partly because of the salt from that night.
Yeah. Oof.
Love your podcast and just wanted to tell you guys my one salty story. Well, thank you, Phil. We appreciate it. That is fucking wild.
If that's your one salty story, that's a doozy to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, that's a big one, man. What a wild flex to invite people to your house and then be like, I'm going to play a 1-player video game while you guys all chill behind me. It's like,
and I'm going to let it fuck up the game that we are playing together.
Yeah. That's so fucking wild.
I love the gall of taking the time to play in a Call of Duty game and come back on your turn and the wording was so good. Ask everybody a million questions and then make the wrong play and then be like, no, it's because you didn't explain it right.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's on you, buddy. You should have told me your board state better instead of just fucking listening to other people play. Like,
yeah, I mean, if Joe is busy grinding ranked games in COD, like, come on, man. I don't know anything about COD. Is that something you can do? You can grind ranked games?
It could be bonus point weekend. You got that Mountain Dew cap with the bonus XP under it, and you just can't not play while Commanders like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Gotta get those XPs.
Yeah. If Joe is slugging dues and just trying to get
and
some
360 no
shots.
scoping kids, then we know he's doing the right thing.
Like,
right?
And honestly, that's an element that we don't understand here. Like, if Joe was really, really sick at Call of Duty, if he was fucking like 360 no scoping people, I might respect.
Was he actually providing entertainment for the game that had slowed down? That's the real question here.
If he's doing like trick shots and shit, man, like, I respect it.
So true.
All of the 6 players were all 5 of them were watching this game and just playing whatever the fuck they wanted.
Oh, shit. But he did it. But if he just is jumping into games and getting his ass beat in Call of Duty, it's like, just come back to the game. You're embarrassing yourself, dude. Just
camped on, just griefed the whole time.
Oh man, have you guys ever played in a game where somebody like disengaged this hard?
I mean, I've had to be that person, but it's because I'm like running around doing shit around my house or something, you know, or
there's a different thing for that though. This is not have something else that you need to do. This is decide you want to do something else in the middle of the game.
I don't know that I have. Like, you know who does that is it'll be once the game, like if he gets taken out early, CJ, when we're streaming, CJ will just be like, I'm playing Diablo, fuck y'all.
I've noticed that, man. He plays it and then he streams the Diablo. It's like his board just becomes a little Diablo game on the side.
That's
right.
Hilarious. He did do that. He put it right into fucking Spell Table and had Diablo running there, and we put it up on YouTube. We put that out as one of our videos, and somebody was like, that's fucked up. I was like, no, it's fucking hysterical.
It's hilarious.
It's a good bit. It's a good bit at that point.
I don't know otherwise, though.
I will say, I think I've been this guy in a game before. I distinctly remember a game where Tony was taking such a long term. The poor guy, he's not even here to fucking
can't even defend himself.
We always blame Tony for taking these wicked long turns
when the stories come out.
And he was taking such a long turn that I took out my Game Boy and was very obviously playing it on camera, like just flicked it on and brought it in and was playing it. It was playing like
it was kind of a bit.
It was a bit of a bit.
This
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
so passive aggressive though. This bit is like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a
It
bit.
definitely was.
All right. So, but on the flip, the only other time I can really think of someone doing this was Tony, but on his bachelor party where he was running between different
Yeah.
events.
Yeah,
Where
totally.
that's
he had
awesome, though.
fully checked out to go play a game of poker and would run back
Yeah.
for only his
His
turn.
turn and
Oh,
then
that's-
leave.
that's living the life though. Like we want to live that life for sure.
Yeah. And in his defense, I think he drank like a pint glass of red wine or something.
Oh,
so
nice.
he was a different type of Tony that night.
Yeah.
He was a little buck wild.
I can relate. We drafted my cube with anime strippers or dancers at my bachelor party. So
That's amazing.
yeah, for sure.
Did they draft with you?
Yeah, for sure. They played, and one
Oh
of
my
them
God.
one of them brought Mortal Kombat and whooped all of us at Mortal Kombat. Like it was like embarrassing.
That's
like we were
fucking amazing,
fully.
dude.
They beat this chick was like untouchable at
That's
Mortal
amazing.
Kombat.
That's amazing.
What a fucking flex.
That's really
I
funny.
love that, dude. That's so good. Yeah, this is such an interesting one, man. I mean, it sounds like our buddy Phil has kind of found the solution here, which is just don't fucking go to Joe's house anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it does sound like that.
You know, I appreciate friends being busy and you got to accommodate them and stuff, but Joe is trying to fit his Magic time and his Call of Duty time into the same time slot, and that just can't happen, man.
Yeah.
In Joe's defense, and this is not in defense of the Call of Duty aspect, but of the six player aspect of
Yeah,
it,
sure,
5
yeah.
to 6 players. I suffer from a very particular like need to include everybody and or not exclude anybody, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
But I'm also lucky enough that most of the people I would hang with is if there's 5 of us, one of them would probably be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not coming. Or, I'm not going to play in this game, or I'm not going to come." Right?
Sure.
Or like I'm cool with sitting out a game or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think the spectator is an underappreciated role in a game of Magic.
Oh,
Yep.
hell yeah. It's super fun to be that person and just like look at everyone's hands and be like give them knowing looks and be like, I know what's going to happen.
You have to be so careful, but it is very fun.
Yeah.
That is-
I mean, I feel that too, dude, because like it's hard to set up a Magic day with all your friends.
Yep.
And you either have to invite exactly 3 other people, so you have a pot of 4, or
Mhm.
just accept that you're probably going to have some like 5-6 person games, 2 pods of 3, a 3 and a 4. You know,
Yep.
you might just have some weird shit or some people sitting out on games.
Yep.
But it's like, do you make the decision to not invite those people? I don't think so. I think if you want to have that kind of like hangout party kind of thing, like everybody gets to come. Some people play more games than others, but it's less about getting the games in at that point. It's more about chilling.
Yep.
Or maybe, hear me out, if you've got 6 people, maybe you have a 4 top and the other 2 play fucking Call of Duty. like,
That's so true.
like the other 2 people can play Smash. Like straight up, they can play Smash.
Dude.
And it's happened. I've
Say
literally
less.
I've been to Eric's house. This has happened.
Eric Number Knower, friend
Number
of the
Knower.
show.
Eric Number Knower, who that's the person, by the way. That is the whole point of that story. The Aresia story. He's the person who was like, come back with 100 cards next time.
No
Ooh,
way.
nice.
Oh,
so
man.
he was probably like a little biting with it too, honestly.
Yeah, that's,
He was
that's
probably
Eric's
like-
style.
You're missing 40 cards, dude.
Yeah, you're missing 40 cards, bitch.
He is the person who introduced me to EDH.
That's so
I
awesome,
love
dude.
the shit
Wow.
out of that dude. He's the coolest person I know.
Yeah, I fucking
Go back-
love Eric.
by a long shot. He's the coolest person I know.
Mike and I chilled hard with Eric when we were in Philly. It was
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah, we hung out
good
with Philly a
time, man.
lot.
It was a
great.
really good time.
He's awesome.
He's
Oh,
the
man.
coolest. But what we would do is we would have 2 people playing Soul Calibur, and they just fucking bash each other's heads in Soul
Oh, hell
Calibur
yeah.
while the Magic game's going on or whatever.
Which
like
Soul Calibur?
any one of them. Fucking any so what edge through
Nice.
6, whatever. We're ready to go. Astaroths in all of them. Let's go, baby.
Hell yeah. Oh, got your
I
main,
love
dude.
that.
Of course. We would go deep. And I think the favorite was 3 because 3 would have the little indicators of how many rounds that controller
Mm.
had won in a row. We call them chicken bones.
Oh,
4 had that also, I think.
So
Yeah.
love that.
maybe it was
dude.
4 that had the chicken bones. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's so 6 players. I think that's the move. You have to be ready for that. Or you could know that the turns were going to be really long and just fucking get up and play Call of Duty by yourself. Fuck that game. I'm F6. I'll see you later.
And just accept it. That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna fuck around like that, accept your misplays when you come back. Be like, oh, I attacked into like 20 1-1s that were represented with little dice. Well, I'm fucked then, I guess.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go back to playing COD.
It becomes secular at that point, though, because the people who you attacked into, like, you ask everybody's questions and they're already annoyed at you, right?
Yep.
And then you annoy them more, and then you make your attack, and this dude's like, good, he's attacking into my shit, and it's his stuff's all gonna die. He's glad about this play. He's what was his name? Joe. Yeah, he's glad Joe's about to eat shit, and then Joe's like, no, wait, I don't want to eat shit. I didn't know that. It's your fault. And then for player with all the tokens or whatever to be like, no, you have to do that attack. That's also a super aggressive power move, right? Like thinking of it from all of the, like, he's like, no, you have to do this attack.
Yeah.
It's also a strong stance.
That's true.
So there's a lot going on with this story of like the breakdown of, and then Joe's like, well, you know what? Instead of making this attack, fuck you. And picks his cards up.
Well, salt begets salt. That's the thing. Like, if one person gets salty at a table, chances are the other people are going to start to feel salty too, because the vibes just get thrown off. You know?
Very much.
Once it's off like that. And that's another downside of 6 is like you do have 6 people that can throw something off like that.
Oh, yeah.
You have a large roster of people that can,
more variables,
bring the salt levels
in play.
And if they're playing regularly, there will be built-in microaggressions and aggressions that will happen from this. There will be built-in behavior patterns that will set people off. Oh, this guy's doing this again. You always fucking do that. And now I'm mad on
you
principle.
Always play fucking Call of Duty in the middle of our games.
He's always playing Azorius, like this fucking Azorius piece of Dovin Bond motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
me and the homies all hate Azorius, man. Oh shit. Well,
what do we think the salt rating is on this one?
It's high for me, man. I mean, if I was Phil, if I was in Phil's shoes and got invited over to someone's house and you know, we're playing this big game of Magic, which already is like a little tough every once in a while to do that all the time, and then that person is just totally spaced out, that would make me salty. And it is that awkward thing. We didn't really talk about this too much, but it's that awkward thing where you're like, can I even question this dude's behavior because he invited us into his home? You know, like, I don't know. Like, how much can you really complain openly at that point?
Right. Are those just the rules here?
Yeah,
like,
it's
just your house.
It's an awkward thing. So it's not a full shaker of salt for me, but it's definitely above halfway for sure. For sure.
It's up there for me too. Like, I feel like this is so indicative of, like, clearly everything is going wrong in this scenario. Joe wants to be playing COD. Other people are mad enough to like be like, no, you can't. There's too many people involved. Like, it's just like, it is clearly reached to a point where the solution sounds like what they're doing, which is like finding a different way to play
elsewhere. Let Joe play COD.
To me, that's the indicator. That's the real answer, is that their solution was to not go back. Well, I guess we just don't play at Joe's house anymore. And
salty enough to never return again.
So that's like sucking on the salt packet at the diner for sure. Like, it left an impression for sure.
That was at least the main flavor that they picked up on leaving that place.
Yeah. Whenever a story ends with "and we never heard from him again," you know, it's like not a good tale.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, how about another salty story here, guys?
Into it.
Let's fucking do it. All right. So this next one comes to us from Audio Bloom, and this is one of our patrons. Thanks, Audio Bloom. And this post is titled "Krovax, the Salty Hero." And the story goes.
Nice.
Oh, you know this one, Mike?
I know the card. I know the card.
And the story goes, "Dear Foreman Sam and other heads of prospecting operations." Wow, I love that.
Wow.
I'm lugging up this story from the deep and dusty shaft of my days on Spell Table during COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
We love a deep and dusty shaft here in the Salt Mine.
Yeah, we do.
I join a lobby labeled Casual Commander and realize it is a pod of 3 friends, and I am the random 4th member.
Oh, so sadly, I've been like
Ooh.
hamming it up face wise this entire time, by the way, and I'm really sorry that you guys at home listening don't get to see me make like Pogger's face or like oh no every time one of these things happens.
Alan also has a beautiful like streamer frame around his face.
Yeah.
And it's like the most
It's, like,
professional we've ever had a
animated.
guest. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
good.
his power level looks like it's shooting up steadily.
And the story continues. I attempt a rule 0 conversation, but fail to get an idea of the power level of the table, with all of them saying they just play with each other and don't really know what power level they are. Nice.
Okay.
I figured it would be best to play my janky mono-white Anthem deck with Krovak's Ascendant Hero at the helm, as I'd rather come in underpowered and get stomped in game 1 rather than the other way around. I explain what it is and let them know that it also has a life manipulation sub-theme that takes advantage of Krovak's second ability. They all seem pretty cool, and we get rolling. So this is where I like to pause, and let's just read Krovak's Ascendant Hero real quick.
I love this card.
I've never seen this before. This card's crazy.
It's
Yes.
really weird. So Krovak's Ascendant Hero is a 4/4 legendary creature human noble. It costs 4 and 2 white mana. And it says other white creatures get +1/+1. Non-white creatures get -1/-1. And then it has an activated ability, pay 2 life, return Krovak's Ascendant Hero to its owner's hand. Interesting shit.
So
So good. And it's
Right.
from Time Spiral too.
Yeah,
Or,
from Time Spiral.
Banner Chaos.
it's a 6 mana 4/4. It's a human noble. Right away, you've got Elshnorn vibes with the plus and minus.
It's like a mini Norn, basically. The only weird thing about the plus and minus is that it is global. So
Yes.
if someone else is on white, they're getting the boost as well.
Yep.
And if you played non-white creatures, which you don't in the deck, if you built it poorly, you do that. Well, actually, I lie. You can do that if you have like 1/1 tokens. They get automatically sacrificed, and you can do like some interesting shit with that. Where
Like
basically
some modular
fair.
stuff
It's just-
and things like
it's
that.
instant kill triggers.
Yep.
So there's some pretty cool brews with that.
Pay 2 life sync abilities are interesting. It's a really
Yeah.
insane play space. So you can do things like bring your life to 0 and do a switcheroo or
Yeah.
some dumb shit like that. Or if
Very
there's
interesting
a-
you would say that, Alan.
Yeah.
Very interesting you
So
would say that.
he said life manipulation as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff you could do in this space with this command.
Continuing, the game goes on for a while with no real winners or losers. The 3 of them outmatch my deck pretty handily with big value engines and a bunch of interaction. As a result, they mostly leave me alone to build an unassuming, modest board of some tokens, a worn Power Stone, and my commander. At one point, I play a Soul Conduit and am met with a mighty, oh, nice. And I think I got to pause again and just read Soul Conduit. Soul Conduit is a 6 mana artifact. You can pay 6 mana, tap it, 2 target players exchange life totals.
Yup.
One of them mentions that none of us are really low life and tells the table not to swing at me until they can deal with it. I point at Krovak's and remind them that my commander allows me to pay life, and was met with a puzzled, okay, and play resumed. Player A, the host of the lobby, is playing a combo deck and gloats that they are a few mana short of assembling their game-winning Doomsday device on their turn. That next turn, we are all fucked. Some real evil villain monologue shit. His 2 friends eat counterspells and removal from him on their turns as they try to take him down. On my turn, I move to combat and swing at him with a 3/3 knight. He declares no blocks, stating he's afraid of what kind of shenanigans I might have at instant speed, and that he doesn't want to risk his combo pieces. I resist the urge to launch into an evil monologue of my own, and instead calmly explain that before damage, I'm going to activate Krovak's, and while his ability is on the stack, activate him again multiple times, effectively draining my life to 1 before activating Soul Conduit to swap our life totals, which would kill him with the 3/3 coming in. He says, you can only activate it once. After that, Krovak's is in your hand and can't be activated again.
Oh, uh-oh.
I try to explain that that's not really how that works, but he is dead set on this interaction, going as far to say, my cousin is a judge, and I've been playing since the 90s.
Ooh.
You are wrong.
Oh,
We haven't gotten the cousins involved yet.
My
We
uncle
haven't
works at
gotten them
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
cousin
appeal
is
to
a
him and his
judge.
friends that the life being paid is the cost of the ability, The abilities go on the stack the same way spells do, and they can be responded to as such. One of his friends sides with him, and the other friend abstains. I try explaining that there's an entire genre of decks based entirely on this kind of interaction, and apologize for not explaining the implications of the ability more clearly earlier on. I met with learn the rules, moron. That's not how it works. Before the host kicks me from the lobby.
Oh my God.
Get fucked, nerd.
My immediate reaction is, what the fuck? Do I have a fundamental misunderstanding of the core mechanics of abilities? I go on a very short journey online to confirm that I do, in fact, understand the game correctly. But ever since then, whenever I reach for Crovax, I find myself compelled to get very explicitly explained to the table, hey, just so you know, his ability can be chained together on the stack to drain my life, and have never been met by any sort of opposition to the rules understanding. Love the podcast, Audio Bloom.
Oh, that's so good.
That's
Oh,
really good.
dying.
Wow.
That's so fucking good. My uncle is cousin?
Cousin.
My cousin is a judge, actually.
They-
And I've been playing since the 90s, so you're wrong.
This
Yikes.
dude went so hard that it made him question his own self and be like, yo, do I just not know how to play this game right now? Did I build this commander wrong? And went and probably Googled specifically Crovax, and it was like in the reminder text.
Yeah.
You can do this more than once in a row.
Ridiculous behavior. Those moments where someone questions you so hard that you doubt yourself are just like wild, where you're like, am I wrong? Especially when two idiots take each other's side and they're like, yeah, I mean, dude, his brother's a fucking judge. Like, you can't step to that shit, man.
That's so painful. And it's a tragedy too, because that playgroup is still running around out there with like this severe misunderstanding of like how costs work with effects like this.
Oh, I hope so. That brings me a lot of joy that these guys are out there just playing that shit 100% incorrectly.
Yeah, just playing fucking summer camp rules with their magic. They're like, no, actually, when the rules become like who's the most convincing at the table, that is,
you're playing real magic. Then you're playing real magic.
That's one of the things I find so interesting here too, is like we are in a day and age where you can look stuff up pretty easily. Like, and you're already on spell table. Like everybody is on a computer with internet access.
Yeah.
You know that to be 100% true. Any of you could look it up and try and link something to each other. I guess spell table doesn't really have like a place you can link stuff to people.
Yeah, you'd have to you could pull it up on your phone and be like, look,
and show them. Yeah,
look, it says right here, right this website, or you can do like screen share it. You'd have to you'd have to be slick with the OBS.
Yeah, you'd have to be on some OBS shit. But still, like the idea that people couldn't look it up is so painful. It definitely makes me think like maybe that one guy whose cousin is a judge, so he's obviously a good authority. Like maybe that is the player with the most experience in the table, so they just like defer to that player, and they're all just gonna like look towards them. That can totally happen, especially if someone like if one person mailed some precons to their buddies, like they're the person that knows how the game works. But
I feel like every play group has someone like that, where they're like, oh yeah, like Neil fucking knows the rules, man.
Yep.
Like we gotta text Neil about this, and he's like, and if he gets something wrong, you're like, that seems right to me.
Yep. Yeah. We have with the Ramp Gang, that's Jank God is one of them. His name is Andrew. He goes by Jank God. And Malcolm is the other one who plays Sisse. He's been hitting them top fours recently.
Oh shit!
Nice.
Mike is also a Sisse main, as the folks out there know.
But I don't hit top fours, so.
You got a top 16
Malcolm.
there, dude. You got a top 16.
All right.
Yeah, one time.
Are you in the Sisse Discord and all that? Do you go in there and fart around?
Yeah.
So he should go by Vice Draken, I believe, is the name.
I don't check it as often as I used to.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's not even like a moderator in that Discord, so he's basically a fucking scrub, really. I don't even think he likes Sisse, honestly.
That's fair.
I mean,
I hate the deck.
Once you're like me and my relationship with Marath, then you can come talk to me about cEDH.
I think every play group has that person who is the deferred, like, rules knower.
Yeah.
Like, and the more enfranchised you are, the less separation between you and like an actual group of judges or somebody who you can message who's a judge, right? But I like
Yeah.
that this guy's cousin was a judge, so therefore he knew.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
no.
it.
You are you related to a judge? No.
That's
Yes.
how it works, man.
Second cousins? Sorry, I have first cousins with a judge. Get fucked.
Yeah. Knowledge of the rules, it transmits via blood, you know? And it goes up and down the family tree, frankly.
Yeah.
It goes all which ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
It's
matter.
genetic.
Generational for sure.
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Yeah.
I love that he got kicked out. I love that. That's
Yeah.
that the dude was just like
It's the fucking best that they're just like
fucking
as soon as he
kicked.
was like, well, here's a reasonable counter argument. They were like, yeah, you're fucking out of here, dude. Get out
Yeah,
of here with that shit.
No second chance here.
Didn't you read the title of the spell table? It said no reasonable arguments.
Yeah. It said modified rules, ask host's
Yeah.
cousin about it.
oh my god.
Host cousin is judge.
And-
Power level 8.
And they just probably finished that game and were like, what a dickhead.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've
The
got my killing
asshole.
machine and you couldn't stop me. I win again.
That's also always when those crazy rules misunderstandings come up, and when people are like super militant about it, is when they are about to die. Like
Yeah.
it is not coincidence that this person was like, actually, it doesn't work that way, and I'm still
Yeah.
alive.
Like lethal damage essentially presented, and they're like, no.
Yeah, they're like,
I
there
don't
has
want
to be that has to be wrong. I can't be losing the game right now.
yeah.
Like, dude, my fucking win con's on board. Like, read the card. I guess read the card and know the rules. I guess that's like the second piece to what the professor says. It's reading the card explains the card. Knowing the rules also helps explains the cards.
Yeah.
These dudes really said L2P and kicked him out.
Yeah.
I fucking
Yeah.
love it.
Get
And
right
he's-
out of there.
Learn the rules, moron. That's not how it works.
Is it me who's wrong? It must be. I'm really stuck on that. It's
I
really
love
good.
the claim of, well, I've been playing since the 90s. It's like, statistically, that means that you're getting rules wrong. You know?
The rules are
Yeah,
wrong.
you've been getting rules wrong for a long
Yeah,
time.
that means you have some bad habits that you haven't fixed as rules have changed, because they've changed a lot since the 90s. Like it's
That's-
a very different game with how some things resolve, and like that is not something you can stand by anymore. I trust somebody who learned on Arena more than somebody who started playing in the 90s.
Fair.
Oh.
I love the reasonable argument too of like there are entire decks built on this premise of being able to do that.
Yeah.
Like I love that. It's like so much reaching for some version of logic to be relevant here. It's like what can I possibly appeal to make you guys
It's like
understand?
a core piece of the fucking game, man. Oh God.
Well, what do we think the overall salt is on those?
For me, it's high. Getting kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're knowing you're right and getting kicked, and it's so funny, but getting kicked and then like, yeah, I'd be tight if that happened to me. I don't know. I like the other thing I was gonna say though is, when is the last time either of you went fucking raw blind into a spell table pickup game?
Oh,
It's bold. I've never
You've never
dude.
done it.
I've done it like twice maybe, and it was only into CDH pods.
Please, for me, it's been a long time since I've done it too, so I may have to back this up with actions. But for me, go pick one of those 8 chill games, jump in there and play. Just do it someday. You
really
will come
should.
out a changed man.
It's truly magic on demand with
Yeah.
whatever time you have to try and fit a game in.
I do need to mine some salt directly from the source every once in a while. You know, I should get in there with my pickaxe and my lantern and fucking see if I come out.
I swear, you will come out a different person. It is so wild in there for sure.
Like
So-
half the stories we get are people just in these crazy spell table games. It's like it's insane. It's the fucking Wild West,
Just
man.
imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Everyone fucking rage scoops. I mean,
Well,
it's
there's no
insane.
accountability. You can be
Yeah.
like, all right, bye.
Yeah, you're just
Yep.
fully anonymous. You're like, get fucked. I'm out of here.
I was actually playing with a couple patrons and we were looking for a fourth at one point. We were like in a spell table getting ready to look for a fourth. And then someone, like a random, joined. And then someone messaged in the Discord, like, I'm available. So the leader of the lobby kicked the random that had joined.
Mhm.
And we were like, oh, did you kick them? And he was like, yeah. And then the random rejoined. And I
Oh,
was like,
no.
did you just kick me? And he immediately kicked him again.
Kick him out
no,
of
no answer given. And that was my first reminder that like spell table is truly just like random anonymous internet.
Yeah.
Like there's a different level of social contract over
Yep.
a completely random online environment.
There
like
are
that.
no repercussions,
No.
pretty
Yep.
much.
So I've done it 3 times now, I think. 3 times I've gone on spell table and just been like, all right, you're in this game. We're going live. Don't
Yep.
get me canceled. They're not like insane games or anything. They're just like
Yeah.
normal ass games. And the people
Yep.
are just kind of like a little froze, you know, because you can't like, it puts people on the spot to be like, we're live. There's 40 people watching us. You ready to fucking rip right now? Get ready. Like, so on the one hand, it's irresponsible of me to like subject other
I love
people to that.
though.
But it's like also a massive risk because they could just be like, all right, time to name all the slurs.
Time to just go
I'm
for
just
it.
gonna list them.
Yep.
You
What
know?
if the camera wasn't on my cards and it was on my wiener?
My
And
whole
I go,
dong,
no. Getting back to the post, this for me, this is wicked high salt. Like you said, Alan, like to get your honor called into question is like
Yep.
really what it is. For them to question who you are as a Magic player, call you a fucking moron, and then kick you to the curb in like a swift 3-punch combo. That is fucking wild, dude.
Yep. Yeah, to fully like 2 + 2 = 5 you and convince you that you don't know what you think you know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love also the third guy. I abstain. Sorry,
Yeah.
I fucking
Yeah.
deal. You just might as well have said, I don't care who you are.
That third guy might be sitting there like, if I vote with the Crovax player, it's a tie and we get stuck here. But
Yeah.
if I abstain, we just get to move along.
Yeah.
We just get to keep the game going.
And if that guy gets booted from the room, then hey, there's one less player that I have to beat.
No, big truth. Yeah, that's a wild story for
It's a good
sure.
one.
That's crazy.
a fucking good one, man.
Yep.
Love that.
These have been bangers so far. Do you have a third good one lined up for us?
I have a third one. We'll find out if it's good.
Nice.
So this next post comes to us from one of our patrons again, and this one comes to us from our buddy President Ketchup. What's up, dude? Thank you.
Uh-oh.
It's a good name.
And this post is titled One Big, No Good, Salty Day. And it goes, this is President Ketchup, longtime listener, first-time caller. I have salted. This has 2 different games, but both end in me foaming at the mouth with salt.
Mm.
I didn't have much time, only about an hour or so I went to my local game store to play with a couple of buddies, 2 people I knew and 1 random person. I was playing Cathril Aspect Warper, and I was playing against the Food Precon, Kamal Fist of Krosa, and Daxos, an enchantment deck. It was all going well. Everyone had cast a few things, trying to build to a win with little or no interaction. I had swung at the Kamal player a few times. I had given him 4 poison counters, so he might have been a little upset already. The Daxos player had done nothing the entire game, and the Kamal player said enough was enough and swung at me for 32 damage, reducing me to 6.
Oof.
I was already pretty salty because that's a lot of damage in one turn. I play Cathril, give a couple creatures lifelink, and then he gets targeted by Swords to Plowshares. At this point, I'm very confused why everyone sees me as the threat because I have Toski, Kurnos, 1 other do-nothing creature, and a Dead Bridge chant, yet it seems I'm the target. The next turn, Kamal plays an Ulamog, and I immediately say, well, I bet Swords would have been good for that. A bit snarky, but salt levels were rising. After the Ulamog resolves, my mind is like, all right, I might have a way to get rid of the Ulamog in my graveyard or draw it. We'll just have to see. The first thing the Daxos player does is exile my graveyard. I am salty. Why on God's green earth would you target me? Looking back, it probably was the best option. But in my mind, when someone is presenting an arch enemy, you don't fuck up your teammates who all have the same goal.
Mm.
Over 2 more turns, I kill the Kamal player and graciously scoop and leave. Later that night, I hop on Spell Table with some of the others from the Discord. Shout out to the Howling Saltmine Patreon Discord, wanting to test out my Cathril deck. I am playing against Mishra, the Eminent One, Bright Palm, Soul Awakener, and another deck that I cannot remember.
Get fucked, fourth player.
Get fucked, fourth player. He did not matter in this game. Well, about 10 minutes in, the Mishra player plays a Nihil Spellbomb, and Bright Palm player plays Micaeus, the Lunarch, and a Flame Shadow Conjuring. I had swung a few times with Vampire Nighthawk, and on turn 5, I cast Windgrace's Judgment, removing a Sunbreak Regent, the Nihil Spellbomb, and some other thing. The other players don't really matter. Again, get fucked. On Bright Palm's turn, he goes infinite with Micaeus and 2 other Enduring Scale Lords, one created from the Flame Shadow Conjuring, and swings one at me, ending me in turn 5. The Mishra player then removes the other one in Bright Palm's end step. At this point, I've passed my salt limit for the day, and I mute myself and watch the rest of the game play out for what feels like another 2 hours. So in closing, don't go infinite and properly threat assess stuff, please and thank you, President Ketchup.
Oof.
2 salty games in a row, man. That's
Brutal.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Those were a lot of cards you read. Sometimes I'd ask to like explain those combos, but I don't think they're really relevant here. Basically,
Yeah.
2 separate games, someone going infinite, presenting it a little bit ahead, and Ketchup still eating some of the hate while there's kind of an about to be infinite player demonstrated on the board. It's rough.
And then a game with an Ulamog coming out and then being like, all right, well, I'll still target you. And it's like, dude, there's a fucking Ulamog on the table. Like, can we band together just a tiny bit? Like, do you really need to?
Can we maybe not? Like, I can't believe, was it Dr. Ketchup? What was it?
President Ketchup.
President Ketchup.
But,
Sorry, excuse
but
me.
I think he has a PhD. Yeah,
I think
he's got
Dr.
it.
President Ketchup definitely is a wild person for staying in that spell table room after getting killed.
It's a different lobby, right? Or
Right?
Oh.
Didn't
I'm
they
sorry.
say they
Yeah, I'm
got
sorry.
they
Yeah,
got
yeah.
killed
hung
and
out.
they hung out and watched?
Yeah, they
they muted
chilled.
it and watched the
Yeah.
game for 2 hours.
Right,
That's
yeah, they
wild.
did.
I would have been
So-
like, sorry, I'm gonna go play Call of Duty. I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, dude. At that point, that's what I'm like. Oh, I'm a little tired. I'm gonna leave. Like,
See you guys.
I hang around for a couple turns and then you bounce.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
mean, I think a good 2 to 3 turn rule is generous. You know, like
Yeah.
after that point, you really got no obligation to keep hanging out.
If it's your buddies and you're all yucking it up and talking about
Yeah.
other shit, like that's a different story.
For
like
sure.
it could be like your friends and it's like you're hanging out in there, like, okay, yeah, we just I know on a stream, you're not just gonna be like, all right, later, fucking
Yeah,
nerds.
But when you're
Fuck off.
muted, you're not doing that.
That's
you're
the
just
thing,
absorbing the ambiance there.
There's a couple things in this post that I really love. The first one, well, I guess the second one, the first one I'll mention is being so salty that you have to mute yourself.
Yeah.
What a gift of the COVID times and all the prevalence of playing over webcam, the ability to mute yourself because when you're that salty in person, everyone can fucking tell. You are quiet,
Yep.
quiet, and you're sulking, and you have like no emotion on your face, and it's like, oh, Sam looks like he's gonna cry. Like,
Sam's
you
tight
gotta-
right now.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, but no webcam. You can just mute and sit back and be like, I'm fucking so mad. I'm like fuming, dude. But no one will know.
You can yell at the TV. You can
Yeah.
straight up when people make plays, like you could talk back to everybody and say all the things, all the fucking
Yeah.
what do they call them? The
Fucking
thoughts,
piece of
the
shit.
intrusive thoughts. You could just you could just,
Just
let
let
those
'em all
intrusive
free,
thoughts
dude.
just rip.
Let them all
You're a
go.
Yep.
fucking idiot. That's why you tapped your shit the wrong way. What it likes just fully.
Yeah. I mean,
Your
oh,
mother.
I just feel like I've been there so many times where I just got to mute and like sit back and like look at videos on my phone and be like, I'm fucking done, dude.
Yep.
Like,
Try some nice like conscious breathing. Like,
yeah.
okay,
I need some like
it's,
kitty cat videos and some One Piece memes to like really chill right now
Wow.
and bring
Yep.
myself back to center.
One Piece is real.
The other piece of this that I really love is, and I feel like this is something that every EDH player can vibe with. We've all been in that situation where there is an arch enemy at the table and it's like known, like it's obvious this person's running away with the game. Like whether you say it or not, there's this vibe that like, okay, Avengers, we got to team up. Fucking
Yep.
Thanos is taking over. when that shit happens and like Captain America just throws a shield right in your fucking face, dude, like, I am not the threat here. What are you doing? Why
He's
would you
got-
do this to me?
He's got the whole gauntlet over there.
Yeah.
Like, why are you hitting me?
Exactly. He's got the gauntlet with the 5 little fangs in it, man. I got nothing. I'm fucking Ant-Man right now. Like, give me a break, dude.
It's like when Star-Lord came up and fucked up the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like he just
exactly.
comes through and he's like, you know what? Actually, exile your graveyard. Stupid.
Like we had almost won. We had almost won, dude.
That one is made extra terrible because Ketchup mentioned that he had the Deadbridge chant out, which pulls things out of the graveyard. So like he had a reanimation thing in the yard that maybe finds an answer for that stuff.
I mean, that's probably why dude blew it up. Is like, oh, you can get stuff out of your yard. Fuck you with your value resource. It's a random thing. Deadbridge chant, 6 mana brings a random permanent back.
Oh, really? That's kind of whack.
Yeah, random card, creature goes into play, otherwise it goes to hand.
It's a tall order. Once per turn, this thing procs. And people hate this card. I put it in the Marin Precon, and every time I've played it, people are like, fucking explode that shit instantly.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it looks so threatening.
It's not that fucking serious, bro.
Well, but it's a mythic rare, so it's got that little red symbol. And when I see that red symbol, I see red, and I fucking take it out.
You know what else? 6 mana.
Yeah.
4 and Golgari.
It's not great, but it's interesting. Like maybe this was a moment where you could have been like, no. Before you target me, I have potentially removal in my yard that I could get back with this. I could deal with the Ulamog. Like that could be one of those moments where you do unite the team and you're like, let me shine a light on it. We need to team up, and this is my way to build into that. You know,
you don't want to have to be like Captain America. Please don't throw your shield at me. You know, like you don't want to have to say that. You're assuming it. You're operating under the assumption.
I'm so bad at advocating for my own board state and stuff during plays, especially when I'm live. Like I'll just be like, okay, yeah, you blow it up, no doubt. And like later, I'm
Hell
like,
yeah, dude, I agree.
I'm like, fuck, I should have been like, hey, how about maybe you don't do that and blow up literally anything else because it will deal with X. You know, I'm really bad at taking that time to advocate truly. And it's cost me many, many games. Not that I'm like, I need to win all the games or whatever, but like I'll look back on it and be like, fuck, I should have like said something, you know?
Yeah.
The other part of that is like holding back stuff.
Yeah.
And be like, let me not just fuck this person's whole game up right now. With a response, you know? And then you're like, fuck, well, then now my whole game is fucked up.
I feel like those moments are so easy to see in hindsight.
Oh,
but like
man.
when you're in it, you don't realize like, man, I could have just like advocated for my shit like a tiny bit more, or I could have asked other players what they think about this move, or, you know, like just politic the tiniest little bit. Because that's always available to you, but I'm the same way. Like often I'll just accept it, and then I'm like, oh, that was stupid.
In hindsight, the rest of the pod too, the one in your imagination is like, yeah, obviously we're not going to target your thing. We're going to blow up everything else on the board instead.
Yeah.
The whole rest of like hindsight pod is also totally on your side.
Yeah. Hindsight pod wants the best for you.
Hindsight pod. I love hindsight pod.
Hindsight pod is one of my favorite pods.
I love playing with them.
What a good group of friends, man. Hindsight pod is so great.
It is also one of those things where like graveyard exile is just so much more of like a narrow thing too. It's like that might be completely irrelevant pointed at the Ulamog player. So it's like, is it worth it to hold that back? Like if it's your only land and it's a Bajuka Bog, are you not going to play it? Like, no, you're going to hit the right target. So like,
exactly.
It could be something like that, but it still doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end of it.
Graveyard exiling is one of those things that I feel like, especially with Bajuka Bog, like you play it and you got to pick someone, and there's no reason for you to not pick the person with the juiciest yard, because that's like the value that you get from Bajuka Bog. Like it comes in tapped. You have to get some kind of value off that. Yeah,
gotta bop somebody with it. I had a game on a big channel. I went out and as a guest streamer, and I was playing Sivris, and Sivris works on putting things in the graveyard and taking them out. And turn 2, one of the players was just like, rest in peace. Fuck yourself. God, and I was on playing this game for 2 hours with just a whole ass deck that didn't work.
That is so brutal, man.
I left. I was like, nah, and they were like, yeah, you had a kind of a nothing game. I was like, yeah, no shit. Rest in peace. The whole game. I was like, fucking rest in peace. Somebody blow it up. And everybody was like, no, dummy.
No way. I love rest in peace.
What are you, stupid? You're not going to play this game.
I so definitely had that.
Like when there is a specific thing that turns off your whole deck that turns off, like, and it's an incidental thing, you know, it's a staple, it could be anything, and it absolutely shuts down your whole shit, like that is a legitimate reason to be salty, right?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Like the recent conversations we've seen about Collector Roof, like the Collector Roof conundrum, or there's another one.
But Alan, Collector Roof dies to Doomblade, so
it does die to Doomblade.
It's actually okay.
Whack.
It's fine.
That's a one extra draw against Bowmasters too. So it's
exactly. I think those complaints are valid. Like if a single card is fucking you over, like hell yeah, you don't want to play against that. But at the same time, like I don't think Rest in Peace and Oof shouldn't be played. But if you go up against it and it turns off your deck, be valid in your saltiness. You can, the whole time you get a card that says once per turn, you can be like, hey, that card's fucking bullshit over there. I don't like that. And it's ruining my game experience. And if someone's like, you're complaining a lot, you can be like, yeah, I wonder why.
And yeah, it's the difference between like, is it just a bad beat? Is it something that keeps happening? I think Dr. President Ketchup is totally valid to be like tight about that day going like that. Making the effort to like, okay, let me leave the store. Let me go get in a game at home and like on my own fucking turf. And it's still dog dick is like, that's a bum.
That's an oof.
I'd be bummed.
It's a big oof. Well, what do we think the salt rating is on that one?
It's not super high for me. I feel like this is pretty run-of-the-mill salt. But the thing is, if you have two run-of-the-mill salt games back-to-back, you're going to feel pretty shitty.
Yeah, definitely.
I empathize with people who have bad days. A bad day sucks. At the end of the day, you're like, and you just try to fight. And I'm like, I'm going to play Magic. That's going to make me feel better. Guess what? It's fucking worse now.
Yeah. And like, sometimes you have that salty game, and then you follow it up with another game, and you're like, that game is fucking great.
Yep.
I'm born again in my sugar for this game.
A complete palate cleanser.
Yeah, exactly. It's a palate cleanser, but sometimes it's not though.
This whole time I keep thinking of instances where I've been like salty, like my fucking EDH bad beat stories. And I keep thinking of them as we're going through this.
What was the one you just got struck by?
Yeah.
It was fucking, when I rebuilt Italy, and so this is like a general concept where I get salty is specifically with Italy. So I rebuilt it. I was really happy with it. I go to my local game store, Gaia's Cradle, this place, GAYA apostrophe S, Gaia's Cradle. This place is rad.
Yeah, Providence, baby.
And so I go out there and I play Italy. I get him out like turn 2 or 3 with haste. Like it's fucking hot. You know, we're riding.
Cruising.
Dude next to me, I get Italy out, I swing fucking 3 lands into some garbage. Like it was just like it might have been 4 lands. Like it was the turbo whiff with Italy. Dude next to me immediately clones Italy, haste, fucking swings, flips removal off somebody else's deck and blows up my Italy. And then he gets to play the game with Italy instead. That shit kills me when I'm running Italy specifically and somebody else either takes it or clones it and I don't have one. It's like, this is the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like that was my plan. And now you are doing it and it makes me berserk.
Yep.
And that was the first, I rebuilt it after years of not being able to play it because it's like not a good webcam deck. And I came out and was like, let's go. And for a very first game was like, what are you fucking stupid?
Dude, we were talking about that on a recent episode. Like, there's this thing with playing a deck for the first time, and we find that often it is a coin flip. Like you're so stoked for your new deck. You're like, I can't wait to play this deck. And you either crush the table and absolutely do everything you wanted to do, and it's amazing, or you have the most like, tiny little fart of a game and nothing happens and you just like squeak it out and you're like, well, this deck sucks. And everyone's like, you built that deck? And you're like, I swear it's supposed to do something more. And it's just like absolute dog shit. And you just feel bad. Like
it's before you've really calibrated it.
Yeah.
It's tough calibrating something and knowing like, how's it going to play? What pod do I play it into? Whatever, before you get like 3-4 games under your belt with it.
Yeah.
I ran into that with the Simic Gandalf. I played a couple really banger games and then I played like 4 really bad ones in a row. And I was like, nope, we're done.
Yeah. And sometimes those really good games are so misleading. You're like, oh man, this deck is amazing. You're like,
Face.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
thought it was a 7. It's an 8. And then you get and then you get steamrolled and you're like, oh, it's a 5.
Oh,
And
it's real bad. Real bad.
Yep. It's no good.
I think the full day of salty stuff is it's mid. We're half, bad day. I
Yeah.
resonate hard with a bad day for sure. I
Right.
feel that.
Yeah, your meals themselves weren't like the saltiest thing, but you definitely exceeded your daily intake kind of
Yep.
situation.
Exactly.
Everything that was offered was like fucking onion rings and French fries all day, which is like
Yep.
it's one of them. You could like be like, all right, now I'm gonna go have a fucking smoothie instead or whatever. And
Yep.
you know what? You get home, fucking corn dogs.
Yeah.
And potato chips. You're
Yeah.
in there.
No.
You're committed.
You're regretting that shit next day
Yeah,
for sure.
Heartburn for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, Mike, I think it might be that time of the week.
It's definitely feeling like the time of the week that comes every week.
It's the time of the week that comes every week. It's the time of the week where we say, Mike. Mike.
You can't. You having
I gotta
to do
say it 'cause
your own
Tony's not
mics
fucking
is
here.
awful.
What's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week.
You've got an undetermined loop. So should I stay or should I scoop? If you say that you can win, then we can shuffle up again. So please resolve your big combo. Or should I stay or should I go? And that was Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash, requested by Accidental TPK. That's right, folks. We have salty song requests now.
Game changing.
Check the fucking Patreon, baby. Check it.
Wow.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah.
That was
Yep. I can't wait for you to edit the guitar riff in as well.
Yeah, it'll find its home in there. It'll find its home in there for sure.
It's gonna be great. Well, thank you, Sam. The salty card of the week is nowhere near as pleasant as that because the salty card of the week this week is Tectonic Break.
Fuck is this card? I've never even
Oh
heard of
yeah,
this shit.
you're gonna love it.
Hit me with this.
So it is X and 2 red for a sorcery. Each player sacrifices X lands. So, Alan, how would this card make you feel?
That would suck. Cards, I'm looking at it right now. Only the foolish and the rich build their houses where the land is thin and the ocean is near. Rebecca
Mhm.
Guay art, so that's hot.
Ooh, hell
It's
yeah.
got that going for it.
That would each player sacrifices X lands. That would
Mhm.
suck. No one's happy with that.
No.
Fuck that card. I mean, there's the balance, right? Mass land destruction, MLD, the old MLD. No, I
Yeah.
can't think of MLD without thinking about fucking Liliana L. And she posted like a selfie and it said, Mommy Long Dick is back in town. And I made a meme of like that and then Armageddon and was like you versus the MLD they warn you about or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but
It's so good.
so I
That's
can't
so
hear
good.
MLD without thinking about Mommy Long Dick for sure. But it sucks.
that.
It's the balance is always if somebody does this and then wraps the game up, easy claps, done.
Yep.
You know?
Mhm.
Yep.
But this doesn't have a fucking board wipe attached to it. This is just blow up the lands and we're gonna still play. No one's fucking who's running that card? That sucks.
Yep.
Like you better be winning right now. Your follow-up to that better be in red. You better have a fucking an underworld breach on the field, like a breach
Yeah,
loop
something.
ready to go.
Right.
Because what else is winning in red with that? You better have infinite combats on the fucking stack or some shit.
Yep.
That sucks.
Sam, how would this make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, Alan said it very well. Mass land destruction sucks. And the game better end pretty quickly after that. I will say, and this is a trend where we talk about these salty cards, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting, actually.
Mhm.
And this
Yep.
one specifically, the fact that each player sacrifices X lands, to me, I'm like, okay, so you're playing like a Gruul deck. I'm fucking landfalling like crazy. I'm
Yeah,
ramping like
dude.
crazy. I have twice the number of lands as everybody else.
Yep.
I blow up the minimum number of lands to wipe everyone else, and I still have 6 land. now you're kind of breaking parity on it. I think I would still be mad if all of my lands got blown up, but I am like tinkering a little bit. So, I mean, definitely a salty card. Please don't play it against me. But yeah, I think it's got some applications out there that might not be too bad. What do you think about this one, Mike?
Yeah, so I think that the lack of symmetry, I mean, it is symmetrical, but the way easier break of parity compared to like Armageddon or something does mean that it seems like it's more often going to lead to the less salty condition that Alan pointed out, which is the game wrapping up soon.
Yeah.
Like I think it's easier to take this and wrap the game up, or see how a deck might run this and wrap the game up, than Armageddon. But man, it is brutal because it really is like pretty much always that case where someone can get ahead on lands and dump it. And it's so weird too, because you're probably not having a bunch of leftover mana to do additional stuff with, because each one you're tapping and then sacrificing to the X, essentially. Like if you're using only lands to produce the mana for this, it's tap 2 mountains, sack any number of lands, right? And everyone else sacks that many lands too. It's pretty brutal.
I think it's got some interesting shit with like mana doublers and stuff like that, where you could float a bunch of mana. I don't know. I think there's some like applications. Also, if you sack people down to like 1 or 2 lands and it's on turn like 8, that's almost as bad as getting all of your lands.
Yeah, that's pretty
You know what I
brutal.
mean? So you can be a little selective with it, but yeah, I mean, it still seems like it sucks.
There's also the have like Vidalcan out and then cast Escape Shift and then play this with all your floating mana. But that's just for the real sickos out here.
I think the clear applications are something that's doing like World Shaper shenanigans, right? So like you stack all your lands and then they all come back, and one of them's a Field of the Dead, or one of them's a Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, I think. The one that blows everybody up when mountains come into play, right? Like that's easy. Other applications are Corvold. This thing would fucking rip ass in Corvold.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Shit.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah.
Right. Corvold slapping. And then the other one, OG, super throwback, is Omnath, Gruul Omnath.
Yep. Angry Omnath really loves this.
That makes elementals when lands get blown up, or when they ETB? Which is
ETB.
ETB, yeah.
But it often runs like the Titania, which does make them when they leave.
And you're bringing stuff in and out. You're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make an interesting brew with this, but I don't know if I would ever cast it for like a really high amount. I think it's more interesting to make everybody sack like 2 lands and have it be like a tempo hit than fully wipe the board and really get the salt going. Especially if you get like a land ramp engine on the board.
Yeah.
Like that's your time to cast this, knock everybody down a couple lands, and then you pull ahead by like 5 lands and you're fucking off to the races.
Or if you've got that sweet new Fallout Crucible of Worlds.
Ooh, wow. Good shit.
All right. So now we get to do part 2 of the salty card, which is the game is where in the top 100 do you think it lands? With number 1 being the saltiest. For reference, I'll give you what the saltiest card was. It was Stasis.
Winter Orb was going to be my guess for what number 1 was. So.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what do you think?
So out of the top 100, let's see. This is like land destruction, but it's not crazy land destruction. I'm going to say we're looking at a 39, Mike. I think this is 39 out of the top 100.
I think this is in the 70s. We're deep on this one.
70s.
We're like in the 70s somewhere.
Hit us with a concrete guess there.
73.
73.
Sam does take this one. It is 44.
Oh, shit.
But it is episode 73, so Alan did get one of the numbers right.
Wow. Wow. Must have been in there. Just that's subconscious for sure.
Oh,
all right.
man.
Well, that wraps it up for the salty card of the week.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card of the week. And thank you, a special thank you to our Salt Packet Plus tier patrons, which we're going to shout out after our salty card of the week each week. And that is Rothbox, Snoranges, Bobo Fett, and Sam Power Gamer, which isn't me. Thanks, guys, for patronizing us. Is that the right term? Doesn't feel like the right term, but thanks for patronizing us, guys.
Thank you for your patronage.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you for your patronage. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And Alan, dude, thanks for jumping on with us today, man. This is super fun having you in the salt mine with us.
This was a blast. Absolute riot. I cannot believe I waited this long to do. You've been on my shit about coming out here, and I'm sad that I waited this long.
Well, we'll have to have you back for more. That's all that means, you know.
Easy claps.
So, Alan, where can folks find you if they want more of that sweet, sweet mental misplay content?
If you want that hot mental misplay action, you can basically find me anywhere you can write the words mental misplay. You could go down to the beach and write it in the sand, and I'll pop out of the waves and we can have a sweet fucking mental misplay beach party. Otherwise,
I can't wait to test that out.
do it. I need a beach party
I'm
for sure.
stoked for that party.
You could write it out in the snow if it's cold near you, and we'll have a snowball fight. I'm ready. So pee it in the snow, and I'll come out. Fucking pee-pee gang, pee-pee gang, pee-pee gang.
Perfect time for a big boy winter.
Big boy winter. Let's go.
Big boy winter. Hell yeah.
Anywhere you can write mental misplay. Twitch.tv/mental_misplay. Tuesdays and Fridays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and Wednesdays on 12 noon Eastern. Otherwise, YouTube, we put our edited cEDH videos, and even better, if you catch me at a live event, run up, say hey, tell me where you saw me and all that fun shit. And thank you guys so much for having me. This is absolutely a treat being out here.
Dude,
thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And thanks to all the prospectors out there for tuning into another episode of the Howling Salt Mine. If you guys want more Howling Salt Mine, check out our Patreon. As you heard throughout this episode, we got some new Patreon tiers. We're giving shout outs now. It's like the thing to do. People just do that shit. And we were like, hey, why not us? You know, patreon.com/howling salt mine. We have an extra weekly show that you can check out. Our Stray Grains. We're putting up like 1 to 2, sometimes 3 of those weekly. We have our monthly show, Extra Salt, where you can just get a little bit more of the Howling Salt Mine boys. It's more of a long form show every single month. Jump into our Discord. We're doing monthly game nights every single month in our Discord with the patrons. Also, we got some pretty banger higher tiers where I will draw you custom tokens and custom cards and fucking mail them to you. Yep. Also, if you got some fucking deep pockets, man, sponsor the whole dang mine, and we will go to an actual salt mine and record an episode in the mine.
Yep.
So check that shit
Get
out.
my hard hat on.
Yeah, we'll fucking get all the safety gear on, man. If you have a salty story that you want featured on a future episode, email it to us at thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com or submit it on our website, thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. We're inconsistent with the use of so our website might as well be the same way. Or you can fucking just DM it to us on literally anything, and we will get it into the queue eventually and hear it sometime on our lovely show. If you want to support the podcast in a different way, check out our merchandise on Bonfire. We have some new shirt designs up there. We have the 1-800-ARE-YOU-FLAPPIN' really chill Zatalpa shirt that's up right now. And we also have Howling Wizard Salty Gang, We Love Casting Spells, which is my favorite shirt that I think we've ever made.
Yep, it is the best one.
We also sell custom Dragon Shield sleeves on our website that you can check out as well. And another thing you can do that's really helpful for the show is give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice. That really does help us stick out in the algorithm. And we are hearing from a bunch of our prospectors out there that folks are just organically finding us through those Spotify recommendations. So that really does go a long way to help boost our little show here. And lastly, we got to shout them out every episode. Our amazing podcast artist, JD Burnett, for gifting us our beautiful podcast art. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's an awesome dude. And this is when Tony would say, 10,000 subscribers or bust. And I'd say, thanks, Tony. Because that's when we're going to get matching tattoos of the Howling Salt Mine logo.
Oh, awesome. Thank you again for having me. And I'll have to come out next time and tell you guys the story of booger bribery.
Oh, my God.
What a teaser.
Yeah, what a teaser. I'm fucking waiting with bated breath, dude. That would be amazing. Thanks again for coming on, Alan. It was a super good time having you in the mine today.
Thank you.
And stay salty, everybody. And as always, don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Do you have like a desktop humidifier lying around or anything? That's what
Something
I'm using
Oh,
currently.
nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so really anything does the job.
It may. We're gonna go ahead and just put it on top of a can of Monster Energy.
That
Dude,
is
branding.
perfect.
That's branding.
That's on brand. Hashtag sponsored.
Yeah,
we're-
that's
we're-
consistent branding.
we're sponsoring now, baby.
Getting all sponsy.
Somebody played this card and gave it to me, and I don't remember what it's called because I just wrote on the Infinitoken, I wrote P of P on it. And every time I used it and let the other guy draw a card, I said Pee Pee Gang.
It's pendant of
Pendant
prosperity.
of prosperity. Yeah, I just found it too. Pendant of prosperity.
The PP
PP
gang.
Pee Pee Gang. So Pee Pee Gang was in full effect last night. It left
that's
quite
amazing.
an impression. And then I figured out that if I used a Mirage Mirror and turned the Mirage Mirror into a copy of it and
Ooh.
activated it, then I draw a card and can play a land, and then I can also draw a card and play a land.
Oh my god.
It is that.
Everybody was very mad.
That's gross.
Wow.
I
Nice.
love
With
that,
a little
dude.
copy artifact going on.
It was
Ooh,
so
man.
stupid.
Oh man, that's fucking that's
I
a
love that.
funny brew. I want to fuck
So
around with that,
silly.
dude.
Yo,
Yeah,
Pee Pee Gang, I'm
exactly.
telling you, Pee Pee Gang for sure.
Big PP gang.
Yeah,
I love
big
that shit.
gang.
Loving that.
Hope to not be salty in a future episode, or I mean, in a future game.
What is everything an episode now, Sam?
Yeah, my whole life is an episode.
Everything.
It's just a one episodic series,
Having
honestly.
an episode.
It's serialized, my life,
Mhm.
one episode at a time. The credits have not rolled yet.
Great.
I think that shit is super. What the fuck am I saying?
Nothing.
I love it.
So what do we think the overall soul
Yeah.
rating?